The Biden administration continues to put the spin on the Russia-Ukraine situation, plus others, costing Americans thousands. What's up, everybody? Welcome aboard to Bubba's Bottom Line for Sunday, February 20th. And I want to remind everybody that markets are closed tomorrow. Although they are open electronically, it is the President's Day holiday, which should have been last week for a Super Bowl, but the markets are closed tomorrow and will resume active trading on Tuesday. In the meantime, we've got a million stories in the Naked City, and it's the biggest, though, is the continued ridiculous, moronic spin that the Biden administration continues to put on Russia-Ukraine, on the economy, on inflation, and about every other thing else that is going wrong in this country, when the president could, with the stroke of a pen, could fix the inflation problem by allowing Americans to shale produce and frack. But why would we want to do that? Let's continue to depend on Saudi Arabia to an OPEC to continue to screw us and force oil prices to Pluto. I think that, it would be one thing if we had cut down usage, but we aren't cutting down usage. So why aren't we fracking and taking care of our own, even if it's on a temporary measure for, let's say, the next 5 years, until we get their ridiculous Green New Deal more developed? So Americans, we are going to pay a fortune for nothing, for something, a natural resource that we have right here in this country without affecting the environment. And since we are the greenest country in the world as it is, the effects from China and India are not going to change magically, because we have an administration that could care less about you. What they do care about is to continue to create the divide, to create and break the middle class and business of the middle class, because, again, I urge you just to look at the numbers and the small businesses that continue to be destroyed because of these ridiculous policies. And, of course, last week, as we told you, COVID has been magically cured as the mask and vax mandates have been lifted. Now, there's still a few places that have them, but for the most part, they don't. And this is, again, an issue of freedom, and our freedoms continue to disappear with every single regulation that is made. And I urge you to look into the digital currency world that is happening in many countries around the world. Because, again, the objective of here is to have the central banks have total control. And where is the Federal Reserve? Are they really in control of anything? Think about this, The Federal Reserve, which is supposed to be handling employment and monetary policy, is so far off path and so dumb and moronic, or they're stealing. One of the two. You can either say that they're dumb and they don't understand free markets, or that they are stealing currency. They are continuing to reduce the amount of money to live continues to go up. Obviously, inflation. Now, the ridiculous CPI number, which was 7.9%, I would say it is more like 18, 19, 20. But they don't count food and energy. And, it's amazing. Food and energy continue to go up. And for most people, that is a big portion of your budget. Food and energy. So you can continue to say that it doesn't exist, and either the Fed has to raise rates, which they should have been doing all along, But of course, instead of being, they are supposed to be a private corporation, but they are not. They have now become just another branch of government. Okay. So either you need to hike rates, which would really do some major destruction. I think the markets are in for some major destruction anyways, but that's a story for the market report a little bit later. So we either have to hike rates or we have to open up the wells again. Okay. Now, obviously, the simplest solution and the smoothest way would be to open up the oil and fracking business here so that we could become a net exporter again instead of relying on the rest of the world, especially OPEC, to take care of us. I mean, obviously, there's talk of getting back in bed with Iran. Is that what you want? Is it or Iraq? Is that really where you want to go? Okay. When you have the ability to take care of it right here. And of course, this narrative that President Biden, for whatever reason, continues to push about that Russia's going to attack Ukraine. I happen to have some sources in Ukraine and in Russia that are telling me they are laughing at this president because of how weak he is and because there's no chance of a true invasion. Okay. And it has been said so by both. Okay. So now, I guess Vice President Harris finally woke up. I didn't even know she was still the vice president, but she said that U.S. troops now say up to 190,000 Russian troops near Ukraine. Well, according to my information, the troops have already been pulled back. Okay. And don't you have people on your borders? I mean, I know we don't. I know that once this administration took over, we have nothing about our borders. Welcome, come on in, everybody, whoever, come on in. It's all, everything's free. We'll take care of you. Okay, but I think the auto strike in Canada, the truckers lining up around the Capitol, and of course that's gotten a little bit hairy and nasty. And somebody had mentioned to me that the police had hurt some innocent people, and I go, if you're at a demonstration, you're not so innocent. Okay. And again, I will always side first with police. I know there's some bad ones, but again, I am going to tell you that without police, without fire, without armed forces, okay, we wouldn't have the freedoms we have now. And of course, the administration continues to take away more of them. But are you going to go out and do it for what they get paid? I don't think so. Okay. So, on Saturday, you had an explosion in a pipeline, which has happened here before. And of course, the Biden administration calls that it was a bomb fired. And of course, it's not correct. I think that you just have to remember, okay, that there's a political agenda behind everything that's going on right now, because again, we are nearing another election cycle, and it seems like we have too many damn election cycles in this country, which I wish would stop already, because it is almost laughable, that you get elected, then you're already recampaigning for re-election. Okay, but I gotta laugh at Charlie Evans, the Chicago Fed president, who is actually cheering on this piping hot inflation. He says it's good for us. And what is it good for? So that people can't eat or can't heat their homes? I got my heating bill. It was up 60% year over year, month per month. Okay. And we had a very mild winter in Chicago. Okay. So, when you look at what the narrative that we're creating, and you listen to these imbies from the Federal Reserve try to justify their lack of activity, it just goes to show you that they could really care less about you and your money, and they care about creating these things because it weakens the dollar. And this is the central bank's desire globally, is to weaken fiat currency. That is the same reason they got off the gold standard. Okay, so they can control these dollars and create debt, which is actually hidden through inflation. So basically what we get taxation without representation. So as I wander back to Canada and the Ottawa thing, I guess there's now talk, and I don't know for facts, but there's a big group leaving California, a bunch of truckers headed to Washington, and a big convoy and they're going to do similar stuff there. And again, this is not just a protest on vaccines and vax mandates. This is a protest on freedom. Okay. You know that we've talked about this often here about the destruction of our freedoms. And if you think about it, again, you just walk through it logically from a number standpoint. And when you look at nominal interest rates, which are still way negative, okay, even though the 10 years back up to around 2, but the negative rates we still have because, again, the CPI subtracted brings you back to negative. You have the continuation of the Fed ignoring the inflationary cycle, all in love for the stock market and the banks that are out there. And of course, this is one of the things that's gotten me, I was never a Fed fan, but I will tell you that the crisis in 08 was what really turned me to be a Fed hater, because they're held accountable by no one. And yet they'll bail out banks that make bad loans. First of all, the banks make a fortune initially, and then they make a ton of bad loans. And then, of course, if it really goes bad, the Fed will bail them out. Now, what business do you know that continues to bail out bad business? Okay. Bad business is bad business. Okay. And I think that we have to remember, okay, that you cannot continue to make bad business and bad business decisions. And this is the problem when you allow the Federal Reserve to create more money, okay, which actually really just devalues the money that you have, okay? And, you've got so much contradictory information coming from Russia and Ukraine. Okay, Putin is having the time of his life playing with Biden's incapacity to have a true understanding, talking about hypersonic nuclear weapons now and what they're going to do. In the meantime, the Ukrainian president and others have already said that there will be no war. Okay, there isn't going to be an invasion, and of course, that's the stance I've taken. That is the stance I have from my sources that I do have. But I think when you look at this, will the Fed rate hikes? Okay, Russia is not going to be the problem. An attack Russia-Ukraine, which I don't think is going to happen, as I said, but it's not going to be the thing that breaks the market. What may break the market will be the hike in interest rates. Okay, because we are in a bubble now. Again, the bubble could last, but I think when does the Federal Reserve stop worrying about the United States stock market and start worrying about the people that are being tortured by these ridiculous high inflation costs, okay, low interest rates where they cannot, put their money like in a savings account, which many would like to do so, okay. So when do they stop the torture of the elderly who don't want to be as risk as they are? They don't want to be involved in as much risk, and the cost of oil. I mean, again, if you're in a job that requires you to drive, okay, what are you going to do? Okay, you're going to give up 20% of your income to fill up the tank. Okay. And then we go into the supply chain issues. You don't think that, when I go to the grocery store and I continue to see more and more empty shelves, and I don't think we've seen the true panic yet of people starting to really hoard yet. I think some people are starting to stock up a little bit more. We have not seen a run yet, but you're seeing empty shelves. Now, how can we possibly exist? And I know that many restaurants are having trouble getting liquor, okay? And, between the high cost of gas, the supply chain blockage, the lack of employment, the lack of workers because of these ignorant policies that we continue to run by, and yet we want to talk about how good we're doing. Okay. Well, quite frankly, I don't think we're doing so good. I think we're in an enormous amount of financial trouble, an enormous amount of economic trouble. And I think that it's going to get a hell of a lot worse before we ever see it get better. And I think this is, again, part of the agenda of the administration that is in power now. Okay. I think, between, Nancy Pelosi now proposing the Well, you can't buy stock. The Federal Reserve people can buy stock as well. You don't think they know when they're going to do something and aren't stepping in front of it? I mean, are we really going to believe that story as well? So there are so many things going on, which is, again, they're trying to change a little bit of the narrative so that they can get reelected. Now, again, I think this is going to be a massive sweep anyways, but that they're going to get pounded in this election. But again, I'm not worried about the election. I'm worried about the system in general, and that we could allow this kind of stuff to happen in this country. Destruction of freedom, destruction of wealth, destruction of the middle class. This is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Todd Bubba Horowitz. It is Sunday, February the 20th, and we're going to step out here for a break. We'll be right back with more of Bubba's Bottom Line. Well, kids, what's up? Well, again, you got a holiday tomorrow, so you get the day off, maybe, depending on where you work. But in the meantime, yesterday I did a great webinar on hedging, and we offered our new product, Hedging Lite. If you'd like to hear the recording or see it, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. And of course, we talk about our sponsors, and I'm going to give them who they are today. Again, we have a couple of brokerage partners. Now, I have many brokers, okay, just to give you full disclosure. But Capital Trading Group, CTG, are by far, first of all, they're the only ones I could authorize for letter of direction trading. Okay, they run our futures portfolio models and our day trader's dream model, okay, which is doing very well. And they do a phenomenal job. They do it at a fair cost, and they manage all my accounts. Okay, they are by far the best in this industry for customer service. So, check them out. CTG, it's capitaltradinggroup.com / it's actually info.capitaltradinggroup.com / Bubba. And of course, our other brokerage partner at Trader. Look, the first thing I got to say is $10 a month. How can you possibly dispute that? $10 a month. Second of all, okay, the overwhelming cost that you pay, plus the fact that we can automate your portfolio if you choose. You don't have to, but we have the ability to automate for you, okay, your trading, so that you don't have to be involved or do it yourself, because Trader has the ability to do that. Check them out at try.trader.com / Bubba. That's try.trader.com / Bubba. And of course, Strategic Wealth Preservation, which is where I do all my shopping for gold, silver, platinum, and other precious metals that are for delivery or storage there. Check them out. It's swpcayman.com / Bubba-trading. That's swpcayman.com / Bubba-trading. And now let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and myself, Todd Bubba Horowitz, and our market report. Welcome back. It is Bubba's Bottom Line. It is Sunday, February the 20th, and markets are ugly. They're in ugly territory, and I guess the big question is this super duper bubble finally getting ready to pop? Okay. Now, again, I don't make those predictions. I don't pitch or create fear. I don't tell people that it's going to happen. I can tell you our positions, which I do every single day. And of course, we are short everything. Okay. Dow, Russell, NASDAQ, S&P. Okay. And of course, we are short, and which means, obviously, think we're going nowhere. And I do believe, and of course, if you happen to catch my spot on Kitco, I did say that, in my opinion, okay, although I'm long, okay, I think there's a greater likelihood for a 50 to 60% haircut in this market. And I think it's getting a lot closer than it was previously. Okay, now, again, we'll see. Again, I don't want you to be afraid. I don't want you to be feared, but that's why I hedge, so I don't have to worry about those things. But again, this is not meant to give you fear. This is what our positions are. But this is my opinion. Okay. And I'm happy to be short. And if I'm wrong, okay, I'll reverse and go along again. But in the meantime, the metals have suddenly picked up, as we said they might. Okay. They have done exactly the work you would look at from a technical standpoint. Okay. Again, I don't buy into all the talk that goes out there, because the news is old. Everybody knows what's going on. It's not like it suddenly showed up. So I would say this to you, that technically they look great, and that technically they look like they're ready for a big run. I would suggest to you that the gold is now has to hold above 1900. 1900 looks like the new point of contention. Okay. And we closed just below there, but I think that there's a good chance that we go higher. I think there's an outside chance on this particular up move we hit the new highs. Okay. But again, we'll see. It's one level at a time. Silver did close, okay, and is above, well, just below that $24 level, okay, $23.99. Okay, 24 is a key spot that it needs to close above for a couple of days. And platinum got to 1100 and pulled back. But again, I think they all look really good. And we're long gold, long silver. And if I traded platinum, we would be long. Now, I am long platinum, and obviously in physical, because I always own physical. No matter what I tell you here, I always own physical metals. Okay, so which means I'm always net long physical metals, no matter what I'm doing trading, because trading is very short term compared to holding forever. Okay, and of course, crude oil, first down week in about 11, but it wasn't down that much, and it closed well above, at 90. Okay, it's going higher. It's going. Listen, if we continue with the ignorance of these policies, we will have a chance to hit the all-time highs in crude. Okay. Again, it's not going to be tomorrow. And obviously, same thing here. We got to go one level at a time. But I think the next big benchmark, which I think you could see sooner rather than later, is 100. Okay. So right now we're at 90. We got up to like 96 or 97. Okay. But certainly the trend is up. We're so long. We've been long for so long. It's hard to imagine I could actually hold crude that long because I like to sell it. Okay. But the dollar was pretty much flat last week, which means there wasn't as much fear as maybe anticipated. Now we're short dollars. Okay. The bonds and notes were pretty much flat as well. Okay. They had some big up moves, but also some down moves. Look, I think they're getting ready to collapse. I think there's a lot more room to the downside. Okay. And as you remember, when we go through the phases of the markets trend, consolidate, break to a trend. So in the balance case, down. Okay, then they had a big move down, and now they're consolidating on the bottom end. Again, I think they break even lower from here. And certainly, I'd like to be a seller anywhere up here. And the natural gas market, pretty much flat, a little bit higher. We're short. And again, this has a lot to do with, this is the scary part of being short natural gas. Not only natural gas, a scary commodity at certain times of the year, which this is not one of them now. We're out of that period. But with this ridiculous energy policy, again, if we're not going to be able to get it and make our own, it becomes a much bigger problem. But we are short right now. Okay. Copper, again, is stuck in a nasty pattern, but we're long. It was higher for the week. But you get these consolidation patterns, which, again, that's really, if you look at the indexes, they're in those big wide sweeping, which sometimes is far enough to trigger a reversal and then go the other way. So it's been a little bit of a challenge of recent vintage. Okay. But as we look into the grain markets look pretty good. Now we're still short wheat. We're long corn. We're long beans. Wheat was a little bit weaker than all, and it continues to struggle a little bit. I mean, not dramatic. Again, look, I believe in the commodity space in general. I think it is going a lot higher. Okay, wheat's just over $8. I think if it can hold here, it'll probably reverse. And I think there's a real chance for a gigantic mover because there's a lot of issues and problems out there. And this is what you better pay attention to, okay? Because farmers are going to have problems with production. And if interest rates go higher, which they are, just because the Fed has not raised the base rate, the Fed lending rate to the banks are raising rates with the bond markets. Okay, they're benching off the 10-year. And you're paying, let's say 2+ the 10-year, so you're paying 4 or 5%. Farmers are paying 8-9%. Okay, and they're getting ripped off. Okay, but that's the risk because of farming. There's a risk to it, and banks refuse to take that risk. But your costs are going to go up, and the question is there going to be a shortage of food next year? It is something that you have to really consider because will all the farmers be able to plant? Okay, and will we have any weather disruptions? We know there's some issues in other parts of the country already. Okay, so again, just something to think about in the protein complex, the meats. Look, you've got all looks solid. Okay, cattle, they had a flat week. Feeder cattle was flat. Fat cattle or live cattle was higher. Now, I think the only issue with cattle, which is what I've said on RFD almost every day I'm on, is if inflation continues at such a rate, I think you're going to have people are going to have to make a decision of eating beef or moving down to pork, which is going to be cheaper. Okay, and I think if you look at the actual patterns, although they're all long, if you look at the pattern in pork continues to rise. It's in that what they call contango formation, and way out of proportion right now as people are planning for that. And you can see how the markets are treating it, knowing that that's really factual, that there could be an issue in the supply chain and with the inflation. And so they're going to continue to push. Okay. As we go look at the softs, look, cotton we're long. It was down, came right down to support. Beautiful move. I mean, again, not that you want it to go against you, but beautiful move right to support. Should take off. Coffee, very similar. We're still long that as well. Sugar was up. It was down for the week again, and we're short. Cocoa was down, and we reversed and are short that as well. And OJ was down, and we're still short that. So we're in pretty good shape. Okay, things are shaping up nicely. Okay, for what I expect to be. I expect very shortly here to have a long extended trend, and not this so much of this what we call chop or wide sweeping consolidation. And Bitcoin, look, it's a wild trader. It's back under 40,000. Had a little bit of rally and then came back down. Look, it's going higher at some point. It is the currency of the libertarian. I'd continue to look at it, and again, the more products you start to offer, because again, I would not put in money that I couldn't afford to lose, but I do think that it's real, it's spectacular, and it's going to be here. Okay, so it'd be something to look in, but again, only invest money there that if you lost it, you would not miss a meal. Okay, and in the meantime, again, you have just all kinds of issues in markets, and it's a bubble. Now again, bubbles pop when they want. I can't tell you when that's going to happen, nor would I try. Okay, so remember, the markets look pretty weak right now. That could change, or we could see a big extension. And this might be the time when the markets finally decide that enough is enough and the big break comes. Okay. And it's not going to happen in one day. It is going to be gradual. It's going to be a big sell-off, spike rally, big sell-off, but what you'll see is lower highs. We'll see how it plays out. In the meantime, this is Bubba's Bottom Line, and this is Todd Bubba Horwitz. We're going to step out here for our final break and come back with our commentary. And unfortunately, we got no football to talk about, so we'll come back in our commentary, and we'll be back right after the break. Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz. All right, kids. Well, again, remember our sponsors. They're scrolling along the bottom. That's the Capital Trading Group, the Trader Brokerage, and Strategic Wealth Preservation. And, of course, don't forget about our high school program as well, patreon.com/Bubba Trading. But also, I did do a webinar yesterday on our new hedging light program and also our regular hedging program. So, look, I'm already hedged. I hope that you get hedged as well. If you'd like to see the recording, just email me at bubba@bubbatrading.com. I'll be more than happy to send it to you. It's free, but if you don't want to see it, hey, it's okay too. Listen, I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyways. I've been a professional trader for 44 years. So you make up your mind what you'd like to do. In the meantime, let's get back to Bubba's Bottom Line and my commentary. Welcome back. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, Todd Bubba Horwitz. And of course, as you know, every week I give you some opinion of what I'm thinking. And of course, I can't continue to talk about the administration. Okay. It's almost laughable as to what's going on here. But, somebody had made a comment to me the other day about the police. And I go, really, the police protect you every single day. Okay. Now, I don't know why we still have this stupid idea of defunding police and torturing police people in general. Okay, it's both the men and women. Okay, when there's always a few bad apples. Do you not know a few bad apples in your business? Okay, do you not know a few bad apples maybe in your life? Okay. So recognize what the majority of them are doing, just like the majority of your armed forces. Maybe we should defund the Army too. Maybe we should just we've already weakened ourselves to such a dramatic rate that we're almost easy pickings. If Russia and China wanted to take us over, they could probably do it. Okay, because we've weakened a nation. Okay, but you want to start here? Isn't there enough looting going on? You see what's going on in Minnesota now? Okay, you see what's going on across the states. Okay, with the stealing and the looting and the no prosecutions. Do you really want to take away what little protection that you have? Because remember, 99% of the officers out there are taking care of you. Anywhere you go, there's always going to be 1% to 2% bad. And if you're gonna destroy an entire organization for 1% or 2%, you should go have your head examined and move to another country. Okay, because again, I know that these people are there and they take care of me, especially because they'll take a bullet for me. Okay, would you do that at $60,000 or $70,000 a year? I doubt it. Okay, otherwise you'd be doing it now. So in the meantime, let's get away from this nonsense talk. Let's get back to some real law and order, because I got news for you. I'm sick of the stealing. I'm sick of watching small businesses get stolen from. Okay, and I'm sick of the crying and complaining about the police department when we should be paying them as we should be paying our teachers more. But that's a story for another day. This is Bubba's Bottom Line, and just to recap our Super Bowl, we did have the winner on the money line, which is what we thought. And we hit some of the props, but football season's over and baseball season might be on strike. So we're in the dark period of the sports season. In the meantime, have a great weekend, everybody. Remember, holiday tomorrow, and Tuesday we'll be back with Bubba's Day Update. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later.